What is going on? What if someone doesn't like your music? When you take the time to release an album or become a music producer, rejection is definitely a reality. In this video, we're going to discuss how to deal with rejection in the music industry. But first, I'd like to let you know that episode 4 of the Samplers podcast is live right now at the Daydream Sound website. This week's episode deals with the question of, is the barrier to entry too low for music producers in 2018? And of course, you could always support our work here by liking and subscribing to our channel. And with that, let's get to it. Rejection and general dislike of our music by the general public is the plight of all musicians. We all go through this over the duration of our career, and it's something that has to be managed and put into perspective, or the consequences that can be suffered from continuous rejection can cause an early end to our careers in music. You know, it's one thing to get general hate from people who you don't know. Like if you put out an album or you're making beats and someone just says, well, I don't like that. I don't like this guy. I don't like your music. I don't like you. While it's never something that we want to hear, it's still really an anonymous opinion. What can really shake us up is negative feedback from people whose opinions we actually respect. When you receive negative comments about your music from people like this, it can really dominate your thoughts. And while your self-esteem may not be shaken, you will be bothered enough to wonder, how can someone evaluate your entire work that you put so much effort in and just flippantly dismiss your creation? So we're going to go over 3 things to help you deal with this. Number 1. Have great people around you. This can be friends, acquaintances, business partners, your core team. The people that you interact with most have to be people that will snap you back into the present whenever things like this happen. They will remind you why you make music in the first place. And these aren't yes men or women that I'm talking about here. These are people that will see you spiraling out of control, overthinking things, and snap you back into reality. And they'll do all this because they know that above all things, you chose to make music. And as long as that is your goal, they'll hold you to that. Number 2. Now, when you do receive comments or feedback or negative reactions in general about your music, you're going to have to deal with it. This isn't something that you can run away from. And the most beneficial way to deal with this sort of thing is to turn it into a learning experience. Sometimes the most valuable intel that you can gain about your music and your craft comes from a genuine insult. And in knowing this, you can take the criticism from others, extrapolate what works for you and what you can use, and discard the rest. This is a very important step because you're not going to be able to move forward unless you do this. And a technique like this is a great way of finding out exactly who your audience is and what they like. And if you find that you're receiving the same vein of criticism consistently about your music, it doesn't say anything negative about your music. What it is saying that possibly the audience that you have isn't the type of audience that you need. And since we live on an earth with a lot of people, there is definitely room for you to find the audience that will react favorably to your music. Oh, and one last thing before we move on. A genuine negative comment is not to be confused with a dedicated listener or client or fan recognizing that you may have took shortcuts and intentionally put out subpar music, hoping that they wouldn't realize. If your audience is calling you out on this in what might seem like a negative comment, it's time for you to stop, take a step back, and realize that that particular person or people is giving you the biggest form of support you can ever get. What they are saying is that they enjoy your music so much and they're invested in you so much that they want to see you do better because they know you can do better. And rather than silently move on to another artist, they'd rather let you know to step your game up. And that's a big sign to let you know that you have the right audience and you have a dedicated audience. Number 3. Keep it moving. Once you've gone through the process of step 1 and 2, realize you're still here to make music. And as artists, we don't have time to stop the cultivation of our craft to mourn over a negative reaction to our music. It's best for us to realize that when we take risks in music, people will hate what we do today and love what we do tomorrow. We've seen this time and time again throughout the history of arts in general. Sometimes our audience isn't ready to accept what we're doing. And sometimes the reactions may vary from positive recognition to all-out hate. So we have to put everything in perspective. But what we can't do is stop. A career in music can be a serious mental roller coaster with extreme highs and ridiculously low lows. Kind of like life. And no matter what part of the journey we're on, we have to keep on being creative. And if we deal with rejection and negative reactions from our listeners in this way, we can ensure longevity in our careers without burning out mentally. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you liked and learned something today, subscribe to us here on YouTube. I will catch you on the next one. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Peace.